Hello everyone. This morning I am going to draw a sunflowers, or perhaps a series of sunflowers. I am not using any reference material because I've grown enough of these darn things to know what they look like, or at least have a sort of a dreamlike quality of what they look like. Sort of a sunflower cliche drawing, I guess we would call this. So let's just dive right in. So I lightly sketch the seed head, something like that, and then I work around with the leaves. And sunflowers have a series of leaf petals around the edges. In other words, different multiple layers. So I just kind of work around here, doing these petals. And as I go around, sometimes I give them a little bit of a gravity look, that the earth is pulling on them. Like perhaps it bloomed a week ago and it's starting to wilt a little bit. And some of these may overlap a little bit, underlap, something like that. And we just keep wandering around, building up the character, building up the levels. See, these are somewhat pointy on the tip, rounded on the bottom, etc. Some of these at the top might be a little bit more erect. And then, of course, as we go down here, they just sort of droop. Same way around here, they sort of point to the ground a little bit. Once again, gravity pulls with everything, no matter how minuscule or light these petals may be. Gravity does affect them. Okay, you see I just keep building up, and eventually we get all the way around like that. Oh, one more over here. And then we go through and build like a secondary layer in between. And not all exactly in the middle. Some, again, as we go around, may droop a little bit. That's how we build up our depth. All right, and then even now and then, not everywhere, we might have yet another layer peeking through, something like that. All right, so a lot of these have a little bit of dark spots between them, a little bit of shadow, just a little bit of a triangle in between as they get closer to the seed head. So we do a few of those, and I'll come back to those. I'm going to wander back and forth. Let's give it a stem of some kind. A little darkened underneath. Again, light source usually up here on the left somewhere. Seems like everything I do has a light source on the left. And it helps with consistency of your drawing. It's a little shadow, a little texture, perhaps one of those big heart-shaped leaves coming off like that. And these leaves tend to have a serrated edge, so we give that to them. Maybe a little shadow on this side. A little bit here, enhance the capillaries a little bit. And we'll give it another leaf over here. And obviously I urge you to grow your own sunflowers, have a look at them, get used to remembering what they look like, observe their natural pattern of growth, and that helps get you ready to be able to draw things like this without working from reference material. All right, so we've got that. Petals, start to enhance the petals a little bit. A few more in between shadows. And then we work on the seed head. Now the seed head it's like a big fat button or donut in a way. So we have to kind of round the part, round this, start up here, because your light is going to wash all this out. Start up here, start rounding, darkening this opposite side away from the light. Back and forth, softly, strongly around that edge, as it kind of curls in towards the petals. Right? They also have a little bit of a depression inside, like a concave, like a donut cutout, although it's not cut out. So we darken that a little bit. So this area here is like impressed in. This would be more like a highlight. This is your highlight, or would be if I was working in color. So we darken that, again, light up here, so shadow is up on this side. All right, then we're going to go back to the petals, and they always have a little folded, a little bit of a crease. So I'm going to wander around, do some of that line work representing the little pleats, I guess is what you really call those. Okay, and then perhaps under here, we're going to darken some of these areas of the sunflower that are behind. The petals at the front are going to cast a little bit of shadow on the ones that are behind. Then up here, of course, it gets all washed out by the light. Once again, we'll come back over to this side where we had this dark, and we start with, again, putting shadow on all the leaves that are behind. And then this, we'll use this as an example. This petal here is out in front, and this one is not. So there's going to be a little bit of shadow underneath that one. So we have to kind of wander around, look for those areas where they overlap, give it a little bit more darkness. Let's see, and then perhaps on the bottom edge of some of these, we want to just give it a little bit of a stronger line. And then you see I'm on the left side of these petals, but as I go around, I switch to the right side once again, thinking about this light source up here. Okay, and then these leaves tend to, looking at from a side view, if we got the head here, then they tend to go out like this. So in other words, this area is going to be hitting a lot of light. Then under here, maybe a little bit of shadow, and then once they tip out again, maybe a little bit of light. So once again, I'm going to go in and do some little middle area shadow. And then on this side, this part where they go into the seed head is where your shadow is going to be. So we, from about, I don't know, 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock or noon, something like that, we darken or put shadow in that area. Okay, moving along. Let's see. Let's darken up our stalk a little bit under here, and our stems for the leaves. Once again, I wander around and strengthen up some of these yellow petals. Yellow as in, yeah, I know, black and white drawing, but they're yellow. Okay. Then we have this really crazy spiral pattern inside the seed head. So I start in the middle like this. We've got a dot, and then I'm just going to go with these arcs all the way around. And this is something you have to really take your time. Take your time. Just start from that center point and just keep going around. Going around. Does not have to be perfect, but the more time you take, the better it's going to look. Just be patient. I know everybody wants instant gratification with this kind of thing, but you can't have it. So just do the work. Take your time. Wind it around. Keep talking to yourself, telling you're going to get there eventually. Okay, and the good news is we're almost done. Bad news is we have to do it all over again in the opposite direction. If I remember correctly, this pattern is called a growth pattern. It's called a Fibonacci sequence. Don't answer what it means. Again, I'm not a mathematician, so we got to remember once again to go in the opposite direction. And for that, I tend to start outside and go to the center. And you just keep working your way in. Round and round and round, millions of little seed heads. Now, I've grown sunflowers for many years, and I dry them, I feed the birds. I save the seeds for next year's crop. Sometimes I get bored here of always going from the outside. You know, sometimes it's easier to arc in this direction. And then as I go around and maybe get back to the top, I might go back, working from the outside in. So you see, it's not just a scribbly dark and light. It's there's actually a natural pattern to it all. And the alternating arcs are the best way to create that pattern. All right, so there you have it. And I'll look at it and I'll realize that, you know, as I've done all this, perhaps I need to develop this depression a little bit more. Again, emphasizing the shadow over here, and then same with the side of the seed head. And maybe a little bit of shadow here where the seed head is casting a little darkness on those petals. Okay. Just keep observing, enhancing. You know, you don't want all these lines to kind of fuzz together. You want to come back, observe what you've done, work on it. Okay, that looks like I'm about done. So I'll let it go at that.